And so Darren is a loan officer coming up on 20 years in Delaware, and the great state of Delaware. And he also served in the service, as we all know by now. And he did a lot of agent prospecting to build his business, and is going to share with us his wisdom. Stuttering a little bit because on my right side are people jumping in the call that I'm letting in the call, but that's pretty much died down now. So I have 100% of my attention. So, okay, Darren, tell us way back when, 2003 or so, when you first got in the business, because we have a lot of rookies on the call, how did you get those first 2 or 3 loans to get you going?
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to come hang out with you guys today. And hopefully I can share, even if it's just one little nugget that helps you in some way, great. So thanks for, this is the way we pay it forward or we give back, right? Those who have helped me, I get a chance to help others. April 2003, that was back when you didn't have to be licensed and we didn't even have to know that the letter T was in the word mortgage. You could be working at a car wash on a Friday and by Monday morning, you'd be calling on people for millions of dollars and not even have a clue what you were doing. So I fell into it and, kind of have to give you a quick backstory to get you where I am. That was when there was another huge refi boom. I came in right when the refis were on fire, and as you will find as you're in the business over time, there is a season and a cycle for everything. It repeats itself over and over again. So I got in and I didn't know anything. I didn't know anyone. I mean, literally nothing. And that was back in the days when they would hand you a phone book and say, here, dial, have a nice day. So,
here's a desk and a phone. They would say, here's a desk and a phone and you're on your own.
And as interestingly enough, when we get into this a little deeper in a few moments, you'll find out that we're probably going to go right back to that. But what I was going to say is that, so 2003, I did have a good mentor who said, hey, do you want to make a whole lot of money right now, or do you want to create a career for the rest of your life that you can rely on? And I said, well, a little bit of both wouldn't hurt. And he said, every loan officer right now is buried in refinancing and they are ignoring real estate agents. He goes, what I want you to do is just call every single real estate agent you can and just continue to introduce yourself over and over again and simply ask for the business. And I didn't know any better. And so that's exactly what I did. And it was absolutely true that just by sheer tenacity and just calling and asking for the business, I think that, and I'm sure there's probably more dynamics today than then, but at the end of the day, it was really no secret sauce. There was no mystery. It was really just work, just putting in the time and repeating over and over again and being persistent and consistent in those efforts, right? So, an old saying out there is it a rhetorical question? Is it better to do 9 different things one time and suck at it? Or is it better to do one thing 9 times and be the expert and grow, right? So that was, and there's so many bells and whistles today that I actually feel that a lot of loan officers that are coming into the business new are at a little bit of a disadvantage in that they don't know what shiny object they're supposed to chase. And the reality is that all those bells and whistles are still about supporting the human interactive condition between people, right? So starting there is, my opinion, is where we start. And that's what I did. I didn't try to call realtors and make them my friend. I had the mentality that they were all friends that I hadn't met yet who happened to do real estate. So that was my mentality. And I took my personality, and because everyone has a different way of talking, a different sphere of influence, different way of communicating and connecting with people. And my job, and it wasn't even my job, it's just my personality, was I wanted to create that commonality between a stranger and myself. And that's why I treated every one of those phone calls. And curiously enough, 20 years later, I still do the exact same thing. So
Darren,
like, I mean, Frederick mentioned himself. You had mentioned he was in the Navy. Well, we have a commonality. We have something to discuss. We have something to talk about where we can find an instant level playing field amongst each other and break bread with each other about it. Had nothing to do with mortgages, had nothing to do with real estate. It was about the human condition between each other first. And to me, that's where the magic is. The magic isn't in, oh, I want to tell you about my 19 different programs. That's boring. I don't know. I'll try hard not to cuss. I am a sailor, so I'll do my best. I was going to say boring S, but nobody wants to have those conversations. They tell you they do, but they really don't.
Right.
So, that's what I did. I called and hello, my name is Darren. I'm a mortgage loan officer. My understanding, and I called out what I knew. My understanding is that loan officers aren't doing a good job of supporting you right now because they're all chasing refinancings, and I want to help you get to the table and close. Who can I get pre-approved today to get you out to a house and write a contract? It's not rocket science. Just put it out there on the table.
So Darren, things are a little bit different now than they were back then. I think the environment that you started in was kind of the environment we had about 6 to 12 months ago. So now we have a lot of loan officers calling agents. So a lot of loan officers asking for the business, so to speak. And, some of them are like, hey, where were you guys? Or I'm just friggin' turning my phone off because every 5 minutes a loan officer's calling me begging for business. So what do you do to not get caught up in the masses and not be labeled another loan officer calling me for business?
Sure. So first of all, I would like to beg to differ that we have the assumption that loan officers are calling them consistently. Why? Because 90% of the people are lazy.
Right.
And they won't, you hear the perception that they're all calling. The reality is most of them are not calling anybody. And so first of all, that is a self-limiting, self-talk mindset, right? So eliminate that immediately. Throw that away.
Okay.
I can tell you this, closed mouths never get fed.
Okay, I like that.
So you, and as you can tell, I'm a fairly husky guy, so my mouth is open probably more than it needs to be. But the point here is, you have to outwork, outcall, out hello, out show up everyone else. 80% of all salespeople quit after the third attempt. 80% of all successful sales occur after the 7th to 13th attempt. So it's about not giving up, and it's still about, once again, if I call a client, a realtor right now, I mean, out of the blue, first of all, technology, this is where you leverage technology. 90% of them are on Facebook. They're posting pictures of their cat. They're posting pictures of their trip to Vegas or the nonprofit that they were just supporting. Like the amount of data and information that you can do to pre-gather before dialing is amazing now. It really is. LinkedIn and Facebook and my God, Discord and all these other places where they openly discuss what their thoughts and beliefs are. So get to know them. You don't have to forensic it, but brief information, find those commonalities. Number one. Number two, don't call losers.
How do you know? How do you know?
Well, I don't know about your company. I don't know what your company provides, but there are programs out there like MMI. You can, I don't know if Van Dyke has MMI.
We do. I was prodding you.
If you don't have if you have MMI and you're not using it, shame on you. If you don't have MMI, then you can call title companies and ask who is showing up a lot. You can befriend a broker, a realtor broker, and ask them if they can help gather some data off of the Bright systems as to who's closing deals. You know, there are different ways to do it. But I would say if you have access to MMI, man, my rule of thumb is if they're not closing at least 8 buy sides a year, I'm not calling them.
Right.
I'm not calling them. So if I don't see at least 8 buy sides a year in the last 12 months in their production, I don't call on them. And so that's number one. Do the homework. Find out who you actually want to call, right? Once you get that list down, then you go, okay, well, I've got this list of people that are doing the business that I want to call. Let me do some quick research on them. Take some quick notes, you know, however you want to do it, computer or piece of paper. And, you know, Jane closed 9 deals. The average price of the houses were X, because it's all on MMI. Okay, great. And they're in this market. Awesome. Oh, I see here that she likes to do dog rescue on Facebook. Like, just get some quick information about them. When I call, I say, my name is Darren. I'm a loan officer in your area. If you think that they're like worried about, oh, loan officers calling, my personality is I do the elephant in the room thing. Hey, you're probably sick of loan officers calling you, aren't you? Ha ha. I mean, I'm just going to be me.
Right.
You know? And it doesn't resonate with everyone. Who cares? Let me ask, hey, Joyce, how you doing? What market are you in?
I guess it would help if I unmute. Atlanta.
Atlanta. How many realtors are in the Atlanta Board of Realtors listed? How many total? Even as a guess, you don't have to know the exact number, but how many realtors are in your market?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. Stephen, help me.
At the board, probably 12,000.
12,000.
And so, yeah.
Joyce, do you need 12,000 realtors to give you business?
No.
No. You probably need 10. Out of 12,000,
yeah.
There's one of you and 12,000 of them. You are the commodity. They are not. This is a numbers game. You're going to have some that hang up on you. No matter what comes out of their mouth, I go, great.
Let's talk about that for a second, Darren. I mean, let's just go a little bit deeper into our feelings. Sure. You know, you call a couple of real estate agents, and
and I'll give you some specifics because you wanted me to say, what does Darren say, right?
Well, I was going to say, you know, I'm not a 19-year veteran. I've been in the business, let's say 12 months. I get the courage. I get my list. I'm calling a couple agents, and then 2 of them don't answer, and then the next one is real bitchy and hangs up on me. And now I feel like poop, and I don't want to call.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, you got to get over that shit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like this is survival of the fittest. I am not going to sugarcoat this.
Right.
Like, you've got to outwork, out hustle, out call, out smile, out show up, outperform, out communicate, out win better than everyone else. If not, go be a LOA and work for another LO who's producing, because this is what it's going to take.
Okay. So give us a couple of Darrenisms that you do that you've had success with.
Sure. So first off, now you guys know, well, you don't know this, but I do believe that the riches are in the niches.
Okay.
Right? Number one, what is the biggest challenge product that people need the most assistance in your market? Know it, live it, breathe it, read it, stay up on it, and be ready to engage it when it's needed. And start to, personally, I believe in branding yourself in some way, right? As the subject matter expert in that area. Number one. Number two, you got to come up with a methodical process. Set aside time that is non-negotiable in your sales time. You know, as a matter of fact, I'm going to show you something right now. Can you throw the share screen to me?
If I can.
You probably have to go to the participants and mark me as host, and then allows me to share my screen.
So if I do that, it will end my call.
Really?
Yeah, it will stop recording.
Okay, so maybe I can't show you this. All right.
Okay.
I'll email this to you, Stephen. You can share it with them.
Thank you.
So basically, I have a document that I created a long time ago. It's called LO Success. It starts by saying, how broke and deflated do you need to be before you decide to do what's necessary to win?
Right.
Why not skip the painful part and go straight to the work needed? There's no secret sauce. Work is the secret sauce.
So
okay?
Stop thinking about it and just do the task at hand.
When someone is yelling at you or telling you, stop calling me, I hate your guts, it's not about you. Their kid just got sick. Their car just broke down. They just lost a deal. They just had bad news at the doctor's office. You don't know, right? It's rare. It's almost never about you. They don't know you. You're calling for the first time or the second time or really for the 9th time and the 10th time and the 11th time and 12th time, right? So it's not you. It's never about you. You have to deflect that, push that off. You're not trying. Here's the game I want you to play. You're not trying to get to yes. You want to see how many no's you can get because you're going to get a lot of no's. You always get more no's than yeses. This is called sales. You're going to get more no's than yeses. That's baked in the cake. Accept the fact that that's the way the game is. This is what sales is. So you're not trying to get to yes. You're trying to see how many no's you can get. Why? Because if you're not getting enough no's, you're not calling enough people.
Right.
That's it. You know, and my belief is this: from 9:30 to 11:30 or whatever time frame of the day you want to choose, it is non-negotiable outbound sales calling time. I don't care. Unless a loan is closing in the next 3 hours that isn't going to close on time, everything else is a non-emergency until you're done with your sales.
Right. Absolutely.
If you're not selling, no one is selling. Selling stops. Every hello that you start today, you are 90 days out from getting your first lead, which is another 90 days out from your first closing. Every day you delay doing it, you're pushing back 90 extra days in your effort and your result. This is literally about getting fast. People say the market's slow. I say, no, you're slow. Get fast and the market will be fast. You know?
I love it.
So, and once again, this is not to make people feel bad. This is to make you guys understand that you really have to want this. You have to grow. You know, it takes time to grow that database. It takes time to grow close clients. It takes time to grow relationships. It's this, you know, how long does it take for, an apple tree to start growing apples? A long time.
Right.
But once the apples start coming, you can't pick them fast enough. So, you know, this is about deep and wide roots. So when you're calling these realtors, and I know you want to get to the bottom line. When I call, I'll give you a quick acronym, Steve. I know you've heard this 1,000 times. I still use these today. The FROG acronym, right? FROG, yep. Right? Family, relationships, right? Opportunities and goals. I'm sorry, family, recreation, opportunities and goals. You know, get to know the people, create relationships. You will never hear me say the word, other than me saying, my name is Darren and I'm a loan officer. That's probably the only time you ever hear me say the word mortgage on a call.
Right. Absolutely. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%, and getting prepared for those calls so that you have some commonality. You know, we're unfortunately in Delaware, I don't know if they have any good football teams, but we certainly have some in the South. And that's about half the population will want to talk to you about football this time of year.
Oh, yeah. Gamecocks versus Clemson. Don't get me started. But
yeah.
But here's what I'll say. Like, I'll give you one example, blind script. Once again, remember, I'm calling on people that I've already checked on to see if they're actually producing business, right? What time we got? 25. Hi, my name is Darren. I'm a loan officer. Jane, I'm not going to lie. I did some homework and you are crushing it. I am blown away by the sustained business that you continue to grow, even though the rates are going up and even though the housing market is really tough for most people. You have found a way to continue to sell houses. I'm blown away. I'm amazed by it. And I just wanted to say, let you know and acknowledge what you are doing out here in the market. And what am I doing right now? I'm acknowledging their efforts, and it's making them say, wow, it's an immediate connection of, yeah, I'm doing something good. Nobody ever tells me this. I'm telling you right now, I'm blown away. Look, I don't want to sell you a mortgage today because 5 other people have already done that. I wanted to call and find out how I could connect with you for a few minutes for a cup of coffee. And I wanted to interview you and find out what it is you're doing versus the other realtors out there to be successful, because I want to be successful.
Right.
Can we get together and have that discussion?
An agent's favorite topic is themselves.
Every human's favorite topic is themselves.
Right. So, yeah. So
that's
awesome.
Your goal, gang, is not to be interesting. Your goal is to be interested.
Absolutely.
Don't be interesting. Be interested. Every single time, a fun little game you can play today for the rest of the day. Try not to use these 3 words today. It's going to be really hard. I, me, or my.
All right, I'm
writing that down. Talk to somebody for 30 minutes without saying the word I, me, or my.
I love it.
If you say I, me, or my, you're about to talk about yourself.
That's right. That's right. That's really terrific, Darren. So let me ask you something off topic, because we have some newbies on the call. They've been in the business a short time. They came in. They didn't, you and I feasted pretty well the past couple of years on 2.5% rates and doing some refis and getting some easy business. They might not necessarily have done that. And now they're going into a market where all the headlines, both in their companies and in their and on the streets, are negative, downsizing, market shrinking, So you've been through this a long time, and of course, I have too, and said the same thing. So how concerned are you about what's going on in the market right now?
0.
Right. So, and why do you say that?
Because no one is going to outwork me.
Okay.
And every single moment you spend reading another article and wringing your hands about this, oh my God, why did I get into this business right now, is stopping you from the core activities.
Right.
So that,
and haven't we
I mean, I remember if I can survive 2008.
Exactly. I say the same thing.
If I can survive 2008, I do a lot of VA. So I'm in my local market, guys. I'm the VA loan guy, right? You know what happened when rates went up and housing collapsed? Guess what became the darlings of mortgages? All government loans.
Absolutely.
VA jumped 277% in originations after the collapse.
Right.
So what I'm saying is you cannot spend that time. This is all about habits and mindset. 90% of this is mindset.
Right.
Listen to a podcast in the morning, mindful reading, read The Miracle Morning. Go get that book, read The Miracle Morning, and actually engage it and do what the book says. Read the 10X Rule from Grant Cardone and do what it says. I'll give you some stuff here at the end. Stay off Facebook from when you wake up until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, unless it's for posting business or retrieving leads. Don't watch or listen or read any news until after all sales activity are completed. It's going to skew your mindset. Why? Because news is meant to be negative in order to keep you engaged in reading it. So stop. Do not read email or even texts or voicemails until after your morning sales activity are completed And even while making outbound calls, don't even pick up a return caller, because what's going to happen is you pick up that return call. Now you're stuck on the phone for 20 minutes and you lost the ability to call 5 more people. Keep those outbounds going. This is numbers. This is volume. This is movement. You can always return that call back later. You can even leave a voicemail that says, I am currently in an outbound call environment until X. I will call everyone back who leaves me a message after X. Thank you so much for your understanding. And just hustle.
Excellent. Excellent advice. So Darren, I want to be respectful of your time. Does anybody have any quick questions for Darren real quick? Because he's got a scoot.
Quick question, Darren. How do you overcome I already have a lender?
Of course you do, Joyce. You're a successful realtor. There's no way that you'd be able to close your deals without having relationships. Let me ask you, Joyce, how did you meet that loan officer for the first time?
My company uses them.
Their company uses them. Yeah, I totally understand. Did you know, Joyce, that what I find is that only 24% of the in-house closings for a real estate office is done by the in-house. All the rest is done by outside loan officers. And I get it. That's easy peasy. They're inside and they're there to assist you. Look, I just want to be on the bench. You know, I want to be there on the bench with my helmet in hand, ready to be called into the play in the event that something goes wrong. And at the end of the day, Joyce, you didn't become successful without creating long-term relationships. So I'm calling to create and grow this relationship. When can we get together?
I love it. I love it.
Totally discount all that. They're going to give you every single objection in the world. You turn around and say, of course you are. Of course you did. Of course you do. You're great. You're awesome. You're wonderful. I wouldn't call you unless you were great, wonderful, or awesome, because I don't waste my time with people who aren't great, wonderful, and awesome.
I had one quick question. How are you, or I guess what's your routine with supplementing your phone calls with like emails? Are you sending out follow-up emails after your phone calls? Are you putting them on an email campaign?
Yeah, great question. So, you know, I do have a small team now. I don't have a lot of people, but I do have one virtual assistant and I have an LOA, you know, and I get it. In the beginning, you don't have those things. Or you may be investing or splitting maybe with other people in your office. I would highly suggest that. If you don't have enough volume of your own, then find out how you can share other resources until you get to a point where you can demand your own resource, right? But use databasing, use a good CRM. I do, you know, I'm not just all old school. I use new technology to augment the basic activities, right? There's no substitute for reaching out and talking to people, but yes, take great notes, put those notes into the CRM under that realtor's name. And then I don't know what Van Dyke has, so you have to talk to them about that. But what campaigns do they have, and engage that. And, you know, and I tell the realtor that, hey, you're going to get information from me from time to time. I want to stay top of mind and bring value to you. Is that okay? Check for acceptance, check for agreement, right? And definitely, but the old shoe leather, man, you've got to put them on a 13 week, every week call cycle until they buy or die. Okay. And they're going to, don't ever call me again. I go, great. So you want me to wait until every other week to call you?
Right.
Unless they send me a cease and desist letter, I don't stop.
Wow. Okay. Well, listen, that's awesome advice. And I mean, it's so obvious why you've been a success for so long. You do all the right things.
And I still do half of it really wrong. Like, the truth is that,
well, of course, we're always learning.
Just work, man. And there is, I'll leave you with this. Please, please, please do not spend your time getting ready to get ready. Like, imperfect action will beat perfect inaction every time. Just like, hang up with me right now, spend 10 minutes, think of 5 people that you can just think of off the top of your head and just call them and start having conversations right now.
Right.
And then ask, who do you know that's thinking of buying or selling would you be willing, can I count on you to introduce me?
Awesome. So thank you, Darren. And I really appreciate this insight.
Yeah, I had a blast, man.
Have a great day, and I'm going to talk to you soon.
Bye, Lauren, Frederick, Gil, Joyce, Cassidy, and Yanni.
Yes, sir.
Darren, bye. Thank you.
Hasta mañana.
Okay, everybody.
He's got great energy. I can see why he's successful. I mean, he's just so confident and so like, you know, just full of energy and positivity and, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he did me a big favor because Alex's company is restructuring. Let's just say that. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen and I have to do the share sound. I'm learning. And then I'm going to do slideshow and then okay. Do you see that? It says dialing for dollars. Do you see on the right-hand side a window that has people's faces? Okay, I just didn't know exactly what you guys saw. Okay, sounds good. So we're going to go through this really fast because Darren had a lot of good insights, so I didn't want to cut him off too quickly. So, okay, so why should you call realtors for business? Prospecting for business over the phone, it's the most direct way to increase your business. All the other tools and tricks and things that we do, even social media, is secondary to calling and asking for the business like Darren suggests. Developing new realtor referral partners is the best way to increase your long-term success. There's just no doubt. I've been doing this 29 years. There we go. Okay, so types of realtor calls. You know, hot means there's business at hand. I want you to talk to this couple. They're buying a house this week. You know, obviously we want hot leads. Those are the toughest to get. There's warm call means there's no business at hand, but the agent knows you. They recognize your name. Cold calling is they don't know you at all or have a specific reason to talk to you at all. So that's the toughest mountain to climb. The goal is to turn would-be cold calls into warm calls to increase your success rate. You know, hot leads probably close 50% of the time, warm 1 out of 10, cold 1 out of 100. So we want to better our odds. So call reluctance, and it's a real business killer. So I'm moving this around so you can see the little chart here. I mean, let's face it, nobody likes rejection. We all say don't take it personally, but we all do take it personally. Your brain is designed to keep you in the comfort zone. So when you are talking to people who are negative, and some of them are, I mean, they're people, you get the whole gamut. And, you know, your brain's going to tell you, okay, don't do this anymore. It's kind of like if you're running a marathon, you get these, not that I'm a big runner, but I have done some running, you get ghost pains. You get pains in your knee when there's nothing wrong with your knee. You get pains in your feet when there's nothing wrong with your feet. Your brain is telling you to stop this. It doesn't like you running, so it's trying to fool you into stopping. And, you know, mentally you have to just say, I'm not paying any attention to that, and just keep going. So everything good in life is just outside of your comfort zone. And the greatest salespeople are the ones that are able to get outside their comfort zone. Yanni, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure you're still there. Okay. So you want to put together a call list. And Darren's absolutely right. You don't want to spend a career on getting ready. But you do need to prep a little bit. So some great people to put on that list are listing agents from your past transactions, if you've had any transactions, buyer's agents that are brought to you. You know, I have people that are loyal that I've done several loans for, but Oftentimes they work with an agent that I don't know, and that's a great way to forge a relationship. Agents you've met on social media. So this kind of warms them up. You make thoughtful comments. You add them as a friend or a connection. And just the fact that they allow you to be friends, or if you make a thoughtful comment about their post, whether it's personal or business, then you're going to plant the seeds in their brain of you being a nice person. Agents you've met through third-party validation. Darren mentioned this, and it's so important. If you can take the relationships that you have with agents, even if it's only 2 or 3, and get them to introduce you to other agents, that's like gold. Also, your friends and family, if you just got in the business yesterday, 25 people that own a home. So ask them, who did you use? And if they remember the person and they made a good impression, then you can call up Mary Jane and say, hey, the Joneses on Main Street, yeah, I sold them their home 3 years ago. Yeah, they couldn't stop talking about how terrific you are, so I had to call and meet you. Now, that person has got to give you a minute of their time after giving them that kind of compliment. Agents you have met at meet and greet events, get out there to events. If you go to, Eventbrite, or you just are on these real estate groups, Facebook real estate groups in your area, there's free events all the time. Just go and meet agents, and there again, it's laying the groundwork. Also, open houses, especially in Atlanta, have started rocking and rolling. You need to go to open houses 2 or 3 every weekend, and just go in, chit chat with the agents. And also, if you can do a broker open, is when the agent has the house. We used to call it caravanning. They have their house on a list. It's an open house just for other real estate agents, where they can go and kind of talk freely about the listing. They didn't do those for a while, but now they're back. And I think if you can get into some of those, it's really important. That's where you leverage your relationship with the agents you have. So once you have one agent relationship, you can turn that into multiple relationships. Excuse me. Okay, so we all have MMI. Cassidy, do you have access to MMI?
No, I don't. I actually just emailed trying to ask for it, but I don't have access yet.
Who is your branch manager?
My branch manager is Peggy Bradshaw.
Okay, yeah, Peggy's got it. So she'll give you access to it. It's no problem. So okay. MMI allows you to search real estate agents, and it allows you to see their production. It's not 100% accurate, but that's okay. It gives you an idea of whether they're a player or not. And Darren was exactly right. We're looking at the buy side transactions, and they've got to do a minimum 6 to 8 to even earn a living. You don't want to really spend your time with agents that have 1 foot in the water. They're doing it part-time. So that's the minimum. Also, when you get started, I wouldn't call in an agent that closes more than 40 houses a year. They're pretty much whales, and they're going to be tougher to sell. And I would hit those people up after doing prospecting for at least 6 months, and you kind of got all the bugs out. Okay, so does everybody have a top of mind account? Gail, do you have a top of mind account?
We sure do. We use it often.
Okay, awesome. So that's something that Van Dyke offers. We're going to be switching to, I think it's called Total Experience, Expert Experience or something. I forgot the name of it, but it's basically going to be a new improved version of Top of Mind. It's pretty much the same. It's a CRM. Use it. There's space in there to make notes, and you can pull that up and have it up on your screen when you're making your calls, and you can see the history of the calls you've made and notes that you made about the calls. You can send them weekly marketing flyers, and if they don't respond, if they respond back, you can ask them if they'd like the flyer co-branded. So one thing I use MMI for is to make a list of agents that I want to prospect by looking at their business in the area of town. And also you can upload that and have the marketing department add that to your top of mind account as a prospect list. And you can send them the weekly marketing flyer that they do. And they do a pretty good weekly marketing flyer. In fact, you can go through and find, if you're new to the company and you haven't done this for a while, then you can go back and find the best ones that suit your needs. And you can use that marketing flyer to send out in a group email blast. And you will get agents that respond. You put in the comments that you offer co-branding services and so forth, and it's free. And I can tell you that Patty's had success with this, Amy Garman's had success with this, and it's a great way to meet new agents. Follow up with those agents, and don't forget to add the tracking feature. Now, a lot of people don't use this. Gil, do you use the tracking feature?
We know how to use it. We don't actively use it, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. So you can put the agent in. When you look up the agent, you can see where it says next to the name that they're trackable. And all you do is put your email address in there. And every time the agent gets a new listing or transaction, it will send you an email notification. And so then that's a great time that I can call Allison and say, oh my God, Allison, that listing is beautiful. Are you getting any traffic on that house? And start a conversation. So it's just another talking point to work with. Okay, before the call, do your research. We talked about this briefly. I do a triple search. I do the MMI, I do LinkedIn, Facebook, and I Google search them, of course. And you know, you can see real quickly what kind of agent you're dealing with. You can see their likes and their dislikes. You know, if I was prospecting Lauren, I can see that Lauren's got kids, her daughter's into dance, she is into Braves baseball, and I can pick up on those things. And those data points become talking points during our first minute of the call. They're perfect icebreakers for connecting. Nobody wants to hear, hey, guess what? They raised the Fannie Mae loan limit. I mean, nobody cares. Okay, jot down 2 or 3 of these talking points, whether you want to use a notebook or go all electronic with your CRM, that's totally up to you. But have ready, also, when you start your calls, have 1 or 2 pieces of value. There's got to be a reason that you're making the call. The reason can't be, I'm going to ask you for business. And the reason also should go beyond, hey, I just want to meet you and like you and know you. So there's all kind of little tidbits of information that you can have in your back pocket. Lauren, what would be one good thing to value that you could tell an agent about?
Well, I was just thinking, the way that you were talking about using MMI and tracking them, that calling them when they get that listing and saying what you said, like, hey, you know, that listing is gorgeous. Have you had any traction on it? Or even in that point, using the opportunity to offer, like, can I come help you with an open house? I can be there ready to.
So there you go. Help with an open house. Awesome. Yeah. Cassidy, can you think of any little tidbit of value that you could share with a real estate agent when you call them?
Could definitely talk about like co-branding options that we have and ways that we can help, you know, expand their market.
Co-branded flyers. I love it. Gil, give me one thing, one zinger.
Well, my first idea was the open houses and then the flyers. So,
oh, come on. All right. Give me one zinger. Don't y'all have some sort of down payment assistance, something or other? Gil, don't you have some sort of down payment assistance program in Florida?
Yeah, actually, we do. Yeah, we do have that.
What's it called?
You caught me at a disadvantage here. I don't remember the name. Oh,
I thought it was like new Whiz Bang Homes for Heroes or something like that. Anyway,
Hometown Heroes.
Hometown Heroes. There you go.
I finally remembered. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So there's your zinger right there. Yanni, give me one thing you could tell an agent about. One piece of value.
When I call them or meet a real estate agent, I typically ask them if they interesting in me hosting an open house, and I can make flyer for them, and I bring snacks. That's what I would tell them.
I love it. Snacks. You can't beat snacks. Okay. Okay. So what is the goal of that call? The goal is to let them know that the purpose of the call is to get to know them and deliver this one little tidbit so that you don't have to end up asking for business. And if you just called a chit chat, they're going to be like, I'm busy. Why are you calling me? So you listen for these clues in the first minute. So it's, hey, Lauren, you know, and if Adam was on the call, this would be super easy. He's usually on the call, but he's from Colorado. So I could say, hey, Adam, did you see that baseball game last night with the Braves, or did you not want to talk about it? You know, and I can make a joke. And then I listen for his clues. Does he laugh, or does he act like I'm wasting his time or whatever? So try and pick up on, do they want to know more or engage more? Is there something else on their mind? And he says, hey, listen, Stephen, I'm trying to get this loan closed. Well, he wouldn't say that. He would say, hey, I'm trying to get this contract finalized. And then you could ask them, is there anything you can help, or what's the issue? They may want to talk about it. They may not. And, you know, if they sound irritated, then you're like, hey, I can tell that you're super busy. I'm going to try you later. Okay. So, you know, you have to have that strong, what we call EQ, emotional IQ, and read the person that's on the phone. So the goal is this. So to use a baseball analogy, you know, a home run would be to set up a face-to-face appointment. A triple would be to set up a Zoom call if they won't meet face-to-face. Double would be having a meaningful call and just setting up the next call. Or, you know, if you can just leave them with a positive impression of you, of, hey, you know, Lauren's a nice person and she was trying to help, even though I'm way too busy and important for her, you know, it still leaves a positive impression in their mind. I'm going to give you a hit for that. Striking out is me calling and saying, hey, Lauren, are you working with any buyers that need to be pre-qualified this week? And she says no. And then where do you go from there? You know, I asked and they said no, and now I'm in a brick wall. So don't do that. Okay, so why not email or text? I get people that say this all the time. And here's the reason. People communicate 55% with body language, 38% with their tone of voice, and 7% with words. If you text or email, this eliminates 93% of your ability to read that person and know how to properly react. On the phone, tone is the key, and being your tone, being upbeat, friendly, and your ability to read theirs is super important. The combination of words you choose, either scripted or not, and the tone you convey is the formula for your success. You could tell when Darren was talking, especially in the very first minute that he was talking to us, very upbeat. He didn't know any of us, but was very upbeat, friendly, and direct. And I could tell, you know, a million things about him by the first 15 seconds of his conversation. Does anybody agree with me or feel like they understand what I'm saying? Okay. So should you have a script? There are companies out there that make calling scripts. So a script can give you a little bit more confidence and keep you from fumbling for your words. But here's the deal. It can't be too rigid. A lot of times when I've ever used scripts, I use like the first half of the script or maybe even the opening sentence. And then I end up deviating from it and kind of going with the flow of the conversation. So you need to have the ability to do that. If you do that, then I think scripts can be helpful without a doubt. You know, remember on your initial call, building rapport is more important than making the sale. And that's why I had the little picture of, because that's exactly what I look like when I'm working with agents. And I have that little picture there because it's a courtship. And, you know, you're not going to firm up that relationship in the first date. So there you go. So objections. So be prepared. So Joyce brought up a really good question for Darren, because every single agent you call is going to say they already have a lender. Okay. Cassidy, how many are going to say they already have a lender?
All of them.
All of them. You will get this objection. It's coming. You can't avoid it. Okay. If the agent says, you know what? I don't have a lender that I've ever worked with. Hang up the phone. Okay. They've never done a deal in their life. So even if they really don't have a lender, they're going to say they do. So be ready with a good answer. Darren had a good answer. You know, I have a couple more that I use. First of all, I immediately immediately respect and compliment their lender. They may tell you who it is, or they may just say I have a lender, or they may just say, you know, I work with Mike Smith over at you know, Lenders Guarantee Loans or something. And you go, oh, that's terrific. Whatever they say that's terrific. Say, I really appreciate loyalty. I've been working with some of my agent partners for a long time. So you just keep going. So you recognize it. Don't pretend like they didn't say anything to you or give you an objection. You recognize it, compliment it, and then just keep running. So my company wants us to use our in-house company, and that's great. Joyce kind of gave him that objection as well. So here's the deal. So at Keller Williams, they have their own in-house lender. Their capture rate is 11% of their transactions. If you back out all cash deals and things like that, they still only capture 20 to 25%. Why is that? Wouldn't people have a preference? One-stop shop? No, people don't like one-stop shop because they feel like somebody is monopolizing the transaction and they don't have an opportunity to shop for their services. People like to shop. The other thing is that these agents, especially the ones that have been in business for a while, agents tend to change companies and so forth. They don't like their company telling them what to do. Their agents are typically very independent minded. They couldn't get regular jobs, so they want to be entrepreneurs. They want to make their own decisions. So when their management company says, I'd like for you to use mortgage company ABC, the first thing in their mind is, the hell I am, I'll use my own mortgage company. So the other thing they may tell you is, listen, I mainly do listings. I hardly ever work with buyers, so I have nobody to refer to you. You say, that's awesome. So you work with sellers? Yes. So do any of those sellers ever buy a house after you sell their house? Yeah. That's terrific. That's why I want to talk to you. My clients usually have a lender when I meet them. Okay, so I do a lot of move-up business. Guys have relationships with financial people, and sometimes they have their finances all worked out. And you say, yeah, that's terrific. The problem with clients choosing their own lender is that often they choose a person who does not have your best interest at heart, who is not going to make sure that closing happens on time. So I think that it's best that you have them talk to somebody who's local that you can trust. And then, of course, oh yeah, will you pay for my marketing? I want $1,000 a month for Zillow leads. Okay. I get that a lot. So I say, oh yeah, I do co-marketing with a lot of my agents, but I tell you what, let's close the deal first, make sure that we enjoy working with each other, and make sure that my team likes working with your team, and then we'll go from there. So does that sound like a good deal? And listen, you know, if there's a situation where they're sending you deals that close, then talk to your branch manager about doing a little co-marketing. There's nothing wrong with that. But I certainly wouldn't jump into that right away. Does anybody have any questions about overcoming these objections? Okay, so Darren made this point as well, the need for persistence. So as we all know, we've seen some version of this chart over any kind of sales over the years. And here's the deal. It takes minimum 5, 6, 8 calls to make the sale, to get the deal. Your first call, only 5% of the sales were made. By the time you get to the 5th call, 35%. So the orange is when the sales are made, and you can see that with the more calls you make, it goes up and up. Now, salespeople who give up, that happens all the time. These agents will get a ton of calls from different loan officers one time, and they'll ask them if they have any leads, and they'll be thinking in their mind, I'm not giving you and trusting you with my business. I don't even know who you are. And then they'll hang up and they'll never call them again. You're going to be the one that they hear and see and know time and time again, and they're going to trust you. So the follow-up is the key. So Frederick asked a question about how it incorporates email and so forth. So I like email. Email marketing is not as effective as it once was, but it's not completely ineffective either. So emailing out those weekly promotional pieces that the marketing department does, I do think is a good idea, simply because it doesn't cost you anything. But unless you set an appointment on the first call, the follow-up is the key. You should have a notebook or use your CRM to make notes on the call. Try to send a follow-up email or note with info on something that you discussed. If you make jokes about the sports team, say something about that. If you talked about their golf game, mention that too. Then also put something about business in it. So you're sugarcoating it, which is fine. So start thinking about improvements you can make for the next weekly call. So when you hang up with that person, jot down a few notes so that you're ready on the next call. You're going to have clues as to which direction to go in. Does that make sense? Develop a call regimen. Like Darren said, you need to block out time. You should schedule time to block out every day for your calls. I think that between 12 a.m. and noon is best, but I've had people that catch agents at the end of the day. That's fine. Whatever works for you, run with it. Also, it doesn't hurt if you've tried an agent, 3 different times at 9:30 a.m. and you don't get them, try them, switch them over to your afternoon calls and try them then. Nothing wrong with that. You should call an agent once per week for 8 weeks in a row. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that's the truth. Darren said 13. I say 8. You pick a number between 8 and 13, and that's how many times you need to call them before you take them off your list. I believe you should leave a voicemail if you don't reach them, a quick voicemail, a voicemail that sounds like you care about them, but that you're also busy and you just wanted to get word to them. And then, of course, track your results. You're going to get better and better as you go along. I hate making calls. Is there another way? Yes. Look, if your mom or dad is the #1 agent in the city, you don't have to make any calls. Just do business for your mom and dad. You could become an influencer on social media. Lauren's halfway there, but until she has as many followers as Taylor Swift, she's got to make her calls. Okay, you could be an LOA. Then it's somebody else's problem. Let them make the calls. Okay, but they're going to keep half your money and you're going to be an assistant all your life. You could work in an inbound call center. You just put on the headset, the calls start coming in. You don't ever have to make a call to anybody. Okay, and you will hate every minute of your life. You could come up with the next viral TikTok dance, which Joyce is working on right now. You got your TikTok dance going? Okay, and you could become rich and famous, like that guy with the cranberry juice or whatever he was drinking. But if you don't do that, then you got to do what your mom told you, which is you got to eat your greens and you got to make your realtor calls. How about that? Cassidy, did you learn anything?
Yes, right. I absolutely did.
Okay, good. All right. I'm going to tell you a quick story and then we're done. Are you ready for my quick story? Can you see me? So my parents had a retail store when I was growing up. They had basically a ladies' dress shop. And they were in a strip center. And they would drag me to the store when I was a little child. And I would just wander up and down and visit and talk to all the people in the drugstore or the men's shop or the gift shop or whatever was in the strip center. Of course, there was a liquor store out in the middle of the parking lot. And I went over there when I was 8 years old. And so Budweiser was having this promotional campaign. It was called Budman. I don't know if any of you are old enough to even know what this is, but it was a campaign and they gave away these stickers. I actually just bought one off of eBay for $1.99, which proves you can find anything in this world. But anyway, they're running this campaign, and the little cartoon Budman, he would be doing different activities. He'd be at the beach, he'd be skiing, he'd be whatever. And at 8 years old, I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And I would go down to the liquor store and I would try and get all the stickers. There were about 20 of them in the collection. Okay, but Buddy at Buddy's liquor store, he never got any of the new stickers. And I would complain to my dad, Buddy doesn't have any of the new stickers. Like it was, the world was coming to an end. And so my dad gave me the yellow pages. And I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's basically the phone book for businesses. So he gave me the yellow pages, my dad said, and he says, look, he says, here are all the liquor stores in Atlanta. Call them up, tell them what you want, and ask them to mail you a sticker. And I'm like, are you kidding me? He says, no, try it. So I called the first one up. And I guess because they recognized I was a kid, they listened to me. And I said, do you have any of the Budman stickers? And the guy says, yeah, I got a couple of them around here somewhere. And I said, would you mail them to me? And he says, what's your address? And he mailed them to me. So I ended up calling like all around town, and I ended up getting like all the Budman stickers because they all had different ones. So I was basically cold calling at 8 years old. And I was actually probably my close rate was better then than it is now. So I thought that was a funny little story on how I got started cold calling. All right. Does anybody else have anything to share? And if not, have a wonderful holiday weekend. Okay. Talk to you guys later.